Consider supporting the work of Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian by becoming a monthly patron. Your contributions will help keep the resource alive and support its mission. Visit patreon.com/NAHblog to learn more and make a contribution of $3, $5, $10, or $20 per month. Again, that's patreon.com/NAHblog. You can start or stop anytime. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian podcast. I'm your host, Relando Tompkins-Jones. I'm a social worker, social justice educator, writer, organizational consultant, and now podcaster who works to build more equitable and inclusive communities. I am also an aspiring humanitarian. My experiences have shown me that in the process of working for social justice outwardly, it's also important for us to continue to critically examine ourselves, shedding attitudes and behaviors that are oppressive to make room for those that are more inclusive, just, and humanitarian. What is an aspiring humanitarian, you ask? When I say humanitarian, I don't mean humanitarian in the harmful sense of placing ourselves in the role of a benevolent hero who's there to swoop in and save others. I mean dedicating one's life, time, and energy to honoring the ways that our destinies are intertwined. It's about accepting the lifelong pursuit to become more humane to those around us, with the recognition that we lose important parts of our humanity when we allow and enable the suffering of others. It means acknowledging our many contradictions and complications and aspiring to do more, aspiring to do better. It means acknowledging that systems of oppression exist by design and not by accident, and working towards an individual and collective transformation that includes an unshakable belief that our society's safety, viability, survival, and ability to thrive is only as secure as our most marginalized community members. Since 2011, my blog, Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian, has been a place where I've written and curated content on issues of equity and social justice. Through using written word, film, and video, and other forms of media for social justice education, I hope to continue to expand and enrich the narratives about social issues that face our society and to find ways to take action while encouraging others to do the same. Today, the blog and now the podcast is for others who share a passion for that same journey. No matter who you are, where you come from, what your identities are, or what area of work you're in, there's room enough for all of us in this work, and I hope that engaging with the podcast or the blog can move you closer to discovering or reaffirming your answers to the questions that you may have about how you can best be of service. Thank you for choosing the Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian podcast. I'm your host, Relando Tompkins-Jones. Now, whether I'm experiencing this as a participant or whether I'm using it as a facilitator, one of my favorite community agreements is that call for us to practice both and thinking. What I mean by that is recognizing we can hold multiple realities to be true simultaneously. One example of that is recognizing that for many of us, we have some privileged identities that we hold some privileged status and power in. And at the same time, we also have identities that are marginalized. And so it's holding both of those things to be true at the exact same time in real time. That context is there and it's present. Another example of practicing both and thinking is recognizing that we can be very well-intended people who have sincerity about the work that we're doing. We can want to be on the right side of things, but at the same time, have worldviews, have lack of awareness, participate in behaviors that are oppressive, that are harmful to others. In understanding and recognizing the importance of practicing both and thinking, this week's episode is really all about disappointment and how sometimes we can really let each other down in social justice work. So, in practicing both and thinking, I have a couple of questions for you. Think of a time when you've been let down by others in your social justice journey. What happened? How did you feel? What did you do? Now, also, think about a time where you've let others down in your social justice journey. What happened? How did you feel? And what did you do? Now, those questions contain different dynamics within them. The first question is really reflective in the sense that it is asking you to think about a time when you've experienced some harm, where you've been let down by others. And the second question is really asking, think of a time when you were the person who let someone down in your own journey of becoming. What happened? How did you feel? And what did you do? Those are two different questions. And I also say that there's a different level of weight when it comes to responding to and being impacted by those questions. So, for this week, when we're talking about disappointment, I'm really going to want us to focus on the second question, the time where you have let others down in your social justice journey, and what happened as a result of that. What feelings came up, and what did you do? Who was impacted? Those types of things when we think about how we can let each other down in social justice work. The letdowns can be in the form of our inactions, the words never said, interventions never initiated, support never offered. They can also show up in the actions that we do take, like the language we use, the ways we can speak over and not with people, the ways we respond to feedback or direction from people who hold identities that we say that we want to act in solidarity with. And depending on the severity of those letdowns, when that feeling hits, it can feel much deeper than disappointment. It can feel like betrayal, and the sting of it is felt more deeply when it comes from people that we're in community with. Sometimes we're presented with those opportunities that call on us to show up, to live out the words that we say in times of comfort. We're presented with those opportunities where we must choose whether or not we're going to show up for the groups that we're in solidarity with. And when we don't show up, when it doesn't happen, it can result in a further sense of disillusionment to people with marginalized identities who might find themselves constantly searching to find community. And when I'm saying community, I mean community in terms of folks acting in solidarity who may struggle with letting themselves feel as if there are folks that they can actually trust in groups that are privileged in relation to them. That trust can be hard to gain, and when it's broken through inaction or inaction, by erasure, by abandonment, it stings that much more when it comes from those folks that we believe that we can trust. In addition to that, there also might be some feelings of disappointment, not just in the person, the institutions, but also at ourselves for letting the guards down that have been developed out of the need to survive and self protect in an oppressive system or multiple oppressive systems. There are times when an apology just isn't enough. When we're the ones who've done the disappointing, there are times when we have to sit with the fact that we had the opportunity to act, and we have to own that for whatever reason, we didn't speak up, we didn't speak out, we didn't intervene. We have to sit with the fact that we chose our own comfort over the temporary discomfort we may have felt from taking a position or taking action. Trust, once lost, can be incredibly difficult to restore. Even if there are some salvage repairs that can be made, there's a possibility that the relationship will still be forever changed. Sometimes there's no good outcome. Sometimes there's no redeeming quality, no pivot or change in direction that can rectify the fact that we got it wrong. Sometimes we just have to live with it and hopefully learn from it. So, as I end this week, I'm going to ask you that question one more time. Think of a time when you have let others down in your social justice journey. What happened? How did you feel? What did you do? And even more importantly, what are you doing now to hold yourself accountable? Thanks again for choosing the Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian podcast. I look forward to engaging with you in the next episode. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To find show notes for this and additional episodes, visit podcast.notesfromanaspiringhumanitarian.com. Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian is a labor of love and will continue to be. Consider supporting the work of Notes from an Aspiring Humanitarian by becoming a monthly patron. Your contributions will help keep this resource alive and support its mission. Visit patreon.com/NAHblog to learn more and make a contribution of $3, $5, $10, or $20 per month. Again, that's patreon.com/NAHblog. You can start or stop anytime. Thank you for joining me this week. Take care.